I've fought many wars in my time. Some are fought for land, some for power, some for glory. I suppose fighting for love makes more sense than all the rest.
Welcome to Movie and a Beer, everybody. This is Dan Kapersky bringing us in, and we have a couple of awesome co-hosts with us tonight.
You got Blake, your celebrity expert.
And you got Aaron, your non-celebrity, non-expert.
Oh, there you go. So Aaron is a long-term friend of ours that we do various fun things like play D&D with, and he sat in with us on the movie Troy, which came out in 2004.
2004, May, so right for the summer. Perfect.
Yes.
Summer blockbuster.
Mm-hmm. And it was chock full of amazing, really fancy, super high-end celebrities. It was a big Hollywood blockbuster.
Brad Pitt, fresh off of Fight Club and Snatch and all that.
Orlando Bloom, fresh off
Bloom.
of becoming everyone's favorite elf, the world's favorite elf.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he uses a bow in the
Herbie.
film, so
Right.
he uses the exact same motions when he's doing it, too. It's like, oh my God, you just couldn't let go. It's
Probably hard to stop that training. Muscles are training. But you got Brian Cox in it.
Yeah.
You got
Bad
Eric
guy.
Bana.
You got a bunch of bad guys. You got Batman.
Wait, which Batman?
Just messing.
I don't remember Batman being in it.
No, he's not.
I would have loved this movie a lot more if Batman showed up.
Don't you remember the Gotham area of Troy? Like, it was a whole
Which
quarter.
part of the
whole
country
quarter of the
is that
city.
in?
Which part of the country?
Yeah. Oh, geez. Here we go. This movie was 3 hours long, and we picked out a couple of really good beers to go with it that were lighter because we're like, it's 3 hours. Let's drink some light things. And so we did. We got some interesting beers that we'll talk about here in a few minutes, but we do want to talk a few things about this movie. This was based on Homer's The Illiad, which is one of his epic poems. And I don't know how many pages it is, but it does translate out pretty long.
I think like 20.
It's a
Yeah.
cornerstone of Western civilization. I'm sure
Yes.
it was at least 22 pages.
Well, if it's Cornerstone, it's probably 30, Aaron. Come on.
Well, originally, though, it was like just orally sung
Yeah,
and
yeah.
translated. Like it wasn't written. It wasn't
Correct.
committed to paper until much later.
Yeah. So Wolfgang Petersen was the director, and it does cross the lines between like Western and Greek hero story and chick flick because it is all romance and I want my wife back.
I remember that part when Oscar the Grouch said he wants his wife back.
There was like one scene with that, though. I was a little disappointed because they didn't really get into like the emotional state of Menelaus. I think he was just maybe more upset of like somebody like
Took his property.
undermined my status. Yeah, he
Well, it was
didn't.
property. It was wives were property back then, but she was like given to him. It wasn't even like she was a local. It was like this is
Yeah.
someone else's
Yeah.
property that I got.
Some diplomatic marriage.
Yes.
Right.
I think they were going for the big classic massive epic that Hollywood used to do for years. I mean, shoot, I forgot the other big name in this was
Charlton Heston.
Yeah, he was in a lot of them.
I almost said that earlier and realized that would have been a terrible move. Why
Yeah.
can't I am blanking on his name? Peter O'Toole.
Oh, Peter
Yeah,
O'Toole. That's
Peter
right.
O'Toole
Peter
was
O'Toole,
in
a
it.
classic
He's
big screen Hollywood actor. Yeah,
He's the old man in it. So basically, you have
Sean Bean.
Oh, yeah.
you have people from Troy that are visiting this other country to give them country. I'm going to keep using the word country because we're going to talk about that in a minute. They come over, they give them gifts, and Orlando Bloom is banging the wife.
He gets
And-
swept up in
and
Sparta, this heady Sparta summer day.
It is. It's a hot and
A
heavy
magical
Sparta day.
time.
It is. She leaves with him. And of course, the king gets really mad and wants her back and goes to get her back.
Oh, yeah. He asks his big brother Agamemnon to help
Yes.
him out. Right.
Yeah. Bring all your armies. He rules most of the known world at that time.
All the civilized world.
All the
anyway.
civilized known world, at least.
Yeah. This is stuff I definitely remember, and I'm not just hearing now and finding out because I was zoning out for half the movie.
Well, there was a number of map scenes where they had really, really big maps and he was stabbing
Yeah,
it or he was moving his pieces around. It's like, hey, I want to take over this country and that country and I want to rule everybody. And it's
When
like,
you-
okay, yeah, okay.
When you got the back pocket ace in the hole, Mr. Achilles, of the
Yeah.
infamous heel,
The
then
Achilles.
you can do whatever you want. You just ices fools that jump move.
All right.
Well, he did hurt his Achilles tendon. When he
Yeah, I was
swimming,
looking at the
wasn't he?
trivia earlier, and Brad Pitt actually tore his Achilles tendon because he's a method actor now, I guess.
Doing his own stunts after Fight Club.
Yeah, he did his own stunts, and there's a big fight between him and Eric Bana's character, and they didn't use stunt doubles.
He looked young in this movie to me.
Yeah,
though,
he
and
did.
I'm wondering how old he was when this was filmed. Like, how old was Brad Pitt in 2004?
Hey, there's an app for that. Yeah, there are a number of one-on-one scenes where the king can bring forth his hero and the rival or whoever they're facing off against will call out their hero, and that will decide instead of killing off, because resources. People are resources, and if you start killing them all off, soon you don't have an army left.
Have your champions go out and one-on-one
It's
combat.
a one-on-one, and then you let it decide from that. And so
41.
he was 41 when he made
he
this?
was
God,
41?
He was ripped.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude
He was
was. Yeah. So it says now 58. And I'm going to trust the math on Google. So I just Googled 2004 Brad Pitt age ?
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, he's just, he
Oh
wasn't
my
eating
God.
carbs.
He looked 28. I'm shocked by that.
He looked really young.
He's a good looking man.
He was looking really ripped.
Right.
And a lot of the other actors also looked. There was the older guys who looked like, it's beyond dad bod. You're just like, yeah.
Yeah. He's got
You reach a certain level of king, you
Yes.
just let yourself go because
You
it
get
doesn't
emperor bod.
matter.
It doesn't
anymore.
matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, there's the thing about the accents.
There's the thing about how everybody was in Scotland when this happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
or America.
Or somewhere in America, the accents
Or vaguely
did not
British.
apply. No, they didn't know what they sounded like back then. They could only guesstimate, and they didn't want to make all these really famous, expensive actors try to figure out how to say things.
See, if I remake Troy, everyone's getting Southie Boston accents. Just
That's how the ancient Greeks sounded.
yeah, exactly. We're gonna send a horse to get him. I tell you what, Paulie.
Right. And the Trojans, they sounded like they were from Jersey. Right?
Jesus Christ, it's a big horse.
It did. It was a really amazing film from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that they kept using the word country.
They kept using the word country.
Why is that bad?
Anachronistic. The nation state wasn't really invented until like the French Enlightenment. So ahead of the French Revolution,
Like 1,000 years later.
Well, like 1600, 1700.
Yeah, so 1,500 years later.
Yeah, the idea of a country, like you had empires and you had kingdoms. You had the occasional republic like Athens, but
Yeah.
to say, I'm going to fight for my country. We eventually started drinking every time they said the word country. And
Eric
Yes.
Bana says it a lot.
We turned it into a drinking game, and it was amazing.
Well, I mean, this is like those classic, massive Hollywood blockbuster epic. The one big movie that makes money for all the other movies for the studio for the rest of the year.
Well, and I was gonna say, like, one of the things I was thinking about is like the word country, but then too also. It's really evident this is a big budget movie.
Yep.
Money was no problem for anything, and
Yeah.
and I was going to ask because there's some good things about that you can do whatever comes to mind of whatever you want to achieve, but also like sometimes a limitation really sparks creativity. There's a different movie I was thinking of called The Five Obstructions from 2003, where Lars von Trier challenges a Danish filmmaker Jørgen Leth to remake a short film 5 times. And each time he says, okay, shoot it in Cuba, and no scene can be more than 12 frames long. And
Wow.
Jørgen Leth says, I can't do this. This is some BS. Like, it's never going to work. Oh my God, why? And then he does it, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And then Lars von Trier says, okay, do it again, but make it animated. And Jørgen Leth's like, I've never done anything animated. Animated movies suck. How? And these limitations make the end product actually better.
Of course.
And so for Troy, they didn't have any limitations on anything at all. Like the first idea that they had, they could run with it because they had enough money.
Yeah, it was made for $185 million.
God.
in 2004.
In 2004.
$2,004.
Internationally, it grossed $500 million.
So they made a lot of money with it.
They made a lot of money.
It was a popular movie.
They made a couple of bucks.
They did not make domestically. Domestically only 133, so they did not make their money back locally within the U.S. or in Canada and Mexico. They only made it internationally.
But I almost wonder if that budget being that big, if that was almost a disadvantage in some ways, because rather than working harder and coming up with a more creative way of like, Helen's dresses or the amazing hair. Everybody has amazing hair in this movie.
Oh, there's a lot of money being spent on costuming and everything.
I mean, the
It's like
costuming, I did bring it up several times. It's really good.
Right.
Prince Hector in Paris.
See the crows? Never tasted Prince before.
Hector was Eric Bana, and Paris was
yeah.
our lovely. I keep wanting to call him
Legolas?
Legolas, but I'm like, I can't. No, that's mean.
You should call him Will, what's his name from the pirate movies?
Yeah.
Brunette.
The character who stands out.
He's
Yeah.
brunette Legolas because like the real Legolas was blonde, right?
Correct.
Lego Moore.
And let's plot spoil it because it's been out for so long. Yes, he does shoot him with his bow
What? Yeah.
through the
ankle, and
you
that's
have-
basically what kills him.
If you haven't read the book in the first 2,000 years, you're probably not going to get around to it.
Yeah,
I
probably
feel like
not.
spoilers are probably okay. At
One
this point.
listener just threw down their headphones like, I hate this.
yeah. That
Sorry
happens
for that
too.
one listener. We apologize.
Yeah. But, so again, 3 hours long. We went through a bunch of beers.
Yeah.
We did. We did.
Yeah.
We did.
We had 2 that we had selected specifically, and the third that we were like, oh, hey, this is a lager. It'll go with it. And it didn't. So anything else we want to talk about this most interesting film?
Well, the one piece of trivia I keep coming back to because the whole war is over Helen.
Right.
Like ships were launched in awe of her beauty. Like the face that launched 1,000 ships or whatever
Yes.
the saying
Yeah,
is.
that's the same.
Wolfgang Petersen didn't want Helen in the movie at all.
Oh, just being
Just
Hidden figure.
a hidden MacGuffin, basically. What's the thing that Hitchcock calls it? I think MacGuffin. He felt an actress couldn't live up to the audience's expectations. He's obviously never seen Anne Hathaway. Anyway, the producers insisted, so Peterson cast an unknown actress. And then she went on to do National Treasures and I think Inglourious Bastards and some actual film movies.
I think the producers were right on this one. I
Yeah,
think this movie
yeah.
does not work without a Helen on screen somewhere.
There has to be a reason for them to be going.
Right.
They don't cast someone. They just keep like way in the distance. There's Helen. Hi, just like extra
a figure,
waving.
a figure that's completely draped. You never get to see her.
It already feels a little
I'll-
misogynistic to me because Helen is kind of reduced to this object, the status object that everybody's fighting for. But if you take her away
aside
from the
from the-
movie altogether, like what is that? That seems even
there's
that's
point.
cool, Aaron. Then you have the Rose Byrne character, who's a slave used for sex and violence.
That's
You
great
know,
representation.
a rich character.
Right?
Oh, it's rich, all right.
Boy, howdy.
Fun
No,
stuff.
I mean, the movie's fine, I guess. Really
We've come a
ragging
long
on
way
it.
since 2004.
Yeah.
Yes, we have. I mean, it's epic. I mean, it looks like wow.
It is
they-
epic. It is. It's the good on the background kind of movie.
Yeah, I
If you're
mean,
running a bar, maybe just let it run.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this movie was kind of it was in the wake of Gladiator, right?
Yes.
Do you think it was kind of like an
It had
attempt
to have been.
because Gladiator, I think that was 2000.
That was 2000. It did
And
numbers, man.
It did.
People
it
loved
did.
it.
So I wonder if this was like kind of in, Gladiator kind of broke the ground and brought back this like sword and sandals genre that hadn't been really seriously pursued for a long time, to my knowledge, anyway.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of like on the success of Gladiator. That's what made this movie. Gladiator was so amazing and made so much money, and then
So, what do we tell people to watch this? Thumb
What?
up, thumb down.
Oh,
We're gonna Caesar it.
it's a better way to spend 3 hours. I'm saying thumbs down.
Thumb down for me too. I can't. It's never again, dude. I've seen it once before.
not
I did
required
not know.
viewing.
It is not required. It's a nice epic. All right, Aaron.
I love the ancient world. I love the costumes. I love the hair. The hair's
Yeah.
amazing. The battle scenes were all right, but for 3 hours, that's a big investment for like that level of payoff. Like, it's not a bad movie, but if you were asking me to spend an hour and 43 minutes for that kind of that kind of payoff, it'd be great. But if it's 3 hours for that kind of payoff, that beer we're drinking better be really damn good.
Yeah, and these-
I would have gone for 2 hours more focused on the relationships, not the grand scale of battle. That's the backdrop. Wow.
I wholeheartedly agree. I
Yeah.
think the relationships between the characters were kind of underexplored because Orlando Bloom shows up in Sparta and Helen runs away with him 4 days later. We don't really know, like, why is she throwing away her whole life? But Orlando Bloom's, cool, sure, but she's got a lot to lose by making this decision to leave with him.
yeah, and she says, we'll probably die. They'll come after me. They'll kill me before they
Be
take me
together in
back.
this life or the other.
Yes.
Arrow shoot. Arrow shoot.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, it's implied that they had spent every night over 4 nights while they were there
Right,
together. The bigger brother's like, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble doing this.
right.
And he said, you should just forget about her.
Hector spoke words of wisdom.
He's
there.
like, let's just go back. Let's go back home. We're done here. And then he's like, surprise.
But if Hector had his way, we would have no Illiad and we would have no Troy movie.
Correct.
So, yeah.
But
So-
at least we'd have our country.
We would have our country. Yes.
Right.
In our country, we drink beer.
We do. We drink beer. We drink a lot of good beer. So at this point, we're going to take a short break of like 1 second. And then if there is a commercial, this is where it would go. Then otherwise, we're just going to start talking about beer.
Yeah, you'll miss us so bad it'll feel like a 3-hour epic.
You will.
You'll send 1,000 ships.
Oh God, we're inland. This is awful.
Yeah, we are a little bit. We're near a river, though.
I guess. How big are these ships? We're getting off topic anyway.
Yes. All right. Thanks for hanging in there, everybody. This is Dan bringing us back in, and we're talking about the movie Troy and some wonderful beers that we drank. So
One so-so beer.
Yeah, so we had two really good ones that were Italian style Pilsner and I'm going to quote, bastardized German style Pilsner, and then a Mexican lager. And the Mexican lager was picked out just because it was like, oh, hey, it's a lager, it'll go good. No, not really.
It didn't match the movie.
It did not.
This is more, I always say this is more Tarantino.
Yeah.
This is a perfect Tarantino beer, but we didn't watch Tarantino.
We did not.
Wolfgang
So
Petersen.
the one we're talking about is 5440 Brewing out of the Vancouver metro area. I believe that they are in Washougal, and they do a Mexican lager called 1862, and it was meh. Yeah. It was, it was a little more, I guess the word I'm looking for is perhaps a bit more malt forward
Yeah.
than the other ones. The other ones had a little bit of bite to them and a little bit more interesting profile.
Mm-hmm. A bite right through your Achilles tendon of your mouth, which is the uvula.
Yeah. I mean, we had 5440 beers before. I've had this 4.3%. It has some Spanish writing on it. It's a really nice, beautiful can. Really nice design.
Yeah, it's a cool can.
Seek it out. You'll find it at your local grocery stores. Yeah, all three of the beers that we got were purchased at Bridgetown Beer House.
That sounds right.
We went to dinner. We had some really nice food that was Mediterranean oriented because we were watching Troy, which is a Mediterranean film. And I was like, hey, they have an Italian style Pilsner, and we're talking about people who came from that area of the world. So
It's Mediterranean.
other one, Mediterranean, the other beer one of the other beers we had was Angostoni Pils. It's an Italian style Pils, quote unquote Italian style, which isn't a real style, from Von Ebert Brewing. This is a 5% can of, it's a tall boy. The other one was a short one.
I think the Von Ebert was my favorite of the three. Like it matched like the heat and the expanse of these sands and like just the backdrop and the scenery
And the Brad Pitt butt.
and the Brad Pitt butt.
There's a lot of Brad Pitt butt going on. And so, 5%. It's dry hopped. It's actually really nice and clean. I liked it too. I'm torn because, so what was your thoughts on this one before we talk about the last?
Can I just copy and paste what Aaron said? Because I don't remember.
You can.
I remember liking it. I think I like the third one better.
Blake says it matched the scenery also. That's
It
what
matches
I said.
scenery and Brad Pitt's butt cheeks.
Yes, true.
Sorry if you're listening with your family. We get raw on this one.
Yeah, no, you see Brad Pitt's butt a few times. He likes to walk around in his tent without clothes. So.
If I looked that way when I was 41, I'd walk around with my butt out all the time too.
Yeah, and get paid
Yes.
a lot of money.
I'll do it for free, man. I don't care.
Yeah. Thumbs up on the Angostoni
Yeah.
Italian style Pilsner from Von Ebert. And the third one that we had, which is a bastardized German style Pilsner at a 5.3%. It's got Bob Ross on the can, and that's the only reason I picked it up.
I mean, that's the only reason you need.
I've had the Angostoni Pils on draft at Von Ebert. I have never had this other one before, and I was like, it's Bob Ross. Let's grab that.
There's a tie-in for me that Bob Ross had fantastic hair.
He
And also
did.
all the characters in Troy had fantastic hair
They
also.
did.
Nice.
And they spoke really soft. And he's painting clouds, and this one is
Clouds.
Happy Clouds. And this beer is called Happy Little Clouds. And it's a Pilsner, but it's
Why?
bastardized. It's dry hopped. I believe this is the batch 912 of In Bob We Trust, which is a silver from the GABF, the Great American Beer Festival, and a gold at the Washington Beer Awards. It's getting noticed. It has GR Magnum, CZ Saz, GR Mandarin, I can never say that word, and
Mandalorian.
Oregon
Mandalorian
Amarillo
hops.
hops. So it's a very classic West Coast style. It is a very nice, good kind of bitter hop forward, but lighter.
Yeah.
Most of these are not super high in bitterness. The Magnum is, but that's just going to be your overall bitterness. The Saz, the Mandarin, and the Amarillo are going to give you a combination of West Coast. So a little bit of citrus and pine, a little bit of just really what I call like forest floor.
Resiny or
Resinous, a little bit of dry leafy. And they're both of these are dry hopped. So that's a process where they add hops after it's been fermented.
From Cloudburst Brewing in Seattle, Washington.
Yep.
Take the public transportation there. Seattle's hard to get there.
It is. Von Ebert's here in the Portland metro area. They have 2 locations, or they're building a third, I believe. They're downtown in the former.
If you're a real local, one of their spots used to be called Fatheads.
Yeah, the formerly known as Fatheads Brewing, right down off of Burnside in 14th, 15th area. They have a really large dining area, and they do good beers. They do like 5 different variations on their Pilsner.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They do a lot of variants on it. This Italian one, so Italian is supposed to be more floral forward, normal, traditional American-style Pilsner just regularly shouldn't have a lot of floral notes to it, but the Italian one does as a differentiation, and it's not an official style, so
It's Italian with quotes around it.
yes.
Like macaroni
Only in that country.
and Robert De Niro.
Only in that country.
I remember liking this one a little more. I don't remember any of the specific notes about it, but I remember drinking it and thinking, ooh, oh, yeah, I want to savor this a little bit longer.
Yeah, it had a little bit more citrus, so it's going to have orange peel, lemon zest.
I love the citrus.
So any Pilsner, especially if it's a German style, should have some grassy note to it. So dry, wet, fresh cut grass, something along those lines. And this one did have that. The Angostura, I don't remember it having much of a leafy, dry, grassy quality more than it went from citrus to floral, like a lighter floral. And that's why very appropriate for some of the slower boat going across the ocean scenes. But this one from Cloudburst did have a little bit more bite to it. So I think I would agree. I liked it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. So ideally, have a few ready, and when certain scenes come up, just start drinking that one. So you really just mix your beers up, guys.
Or just make a drinking game out of it like we did. Just come up with something every time they say a word. Helen.
Right.
Drink. Or how many times does Brad Pitt cut somebody with his sword?
How many drink per ship, you see?
Yeah. There's a lot of ships in this one.
A drink per Trojan horse, I guess.
Oh.
And they do actually build a Trojan horse.
yeah,
We didn't
yeah.
talk about that, but they do actually build one.
do.
It was a cool
Yeah.
design. I like that design.
Unlike the book and the movie, they built that Trojan horse in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's interesting because they do a lot of skipping like that, and they don't even say on the screen, oh, we just skipped 6 weeks.
Right.
It's like one day they don't have it, the next day it's there. And I'm just like, where the hell did they get all that? Oh, they busted up a couple of their ships.
You know, the other drinking game I think would be fun was whenever Ulysses says something really clever. That would be like
True.
that's every
Yeah.
scene he's in. Sean Bean is in, and
He's sick with those bars.
Man of wisdom.
yeah,
So he's the one that actually brought Achilles into the fray for this one. He went and talked to him because he was in his country hanging out. And he's like,
His
you're just his country. He was a subservient, he's like, and Achilles' thing is no one is my ruler. He doesn't believe in anybody. He just loves to fight. So his thing is like, I'll fight for you as long as I get to kill people. And he doesn't care about the money.
Nah.
He lets his guys, the people that he fights with, they loot. But it's interesting because they only had about a dozen when they got off the ship, but somehow they ended up with about 24 at the end of the battle scenes.
and half of them died.
And half of them died. So you're like, there's a whole lot. They just multiplied on their own. It's like one of those Hollywood clips. It never ends. It just never ends, and they keep more showing up.
The clown car
Yes.
joke of they just keep coming out of the ship, pouring out of the ship. They're
Oh,
all
that's where that
stuck-
clown was running
stuck
with
under-
a spear. With his big floppy shoes and spear and floppy wig.
Across the sand. And I was mentioning, I was like, I don't know how many of you have ever ran across the sand. That's hard as hell.
I've been a child at the beach. I've run across sand.
And I've done that in armor, sure. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, when you storm that beach.
right. In ancient Greek armor.
Dude, she's not going to call you back. Just drop it.
I'm serious. Like those tower shields they use, I was like, there's no way they're running across the beach with that like 50-pound shield, plus their
Right.
armor, plus a spear, plus their bow and arrow, plus all. I'm like, Dad, they're not moving that fast.
That'd be exhausting.
I imagine being on set that day was miserable.
Especially if it was hot. And a lot of it was shot on
Yeah.
location, wasn't it? I mean, it looked like it
think
was.
so.
I don't know. I didn't look that deep into the notes.
I look at superficial notes,
It's all good.
like when they cast the actresses.
Okay, so do we want to do a plot keyword beer name rename game?
I'd love to rename Happy Little Clouds.
Happy Little Clouds. Okay, so quick breakdown for those that haven't heard us do this before, and for everyone that has, just deal with it. So you go to IMDb, which is a great resource. You can sign up and be a member of IMDb, and you can submit keywords to any show or movie or whatever they have listed for that if it is official and it's viewed as an official IMDb thing. What we do is you can scroll about halfway down the page of the whatever it is you're looking at, movie or show, and you'll see just around the synopsis area, there'll be a bunch of keywords that are circled and then one that says a number plus or more, and you just click on that.
Yeah, depending on how new or old the movie is, how much of a cult following it has, how much money it made. We watched Sing 2, and there's almost nothing for names. We've watched Evil Dead, and it's such a cult classic. It was
Hundreds.
I think nearly almost 1,000. I
Yeah,
think
it was insane. There's a lot for that one. This one has about 264.
which is about right.
So these get rated as relevant or not by other users. So if you are a member and signed in, you can say, hey, this one's relevant and give a little plus, and it'll make it more relevant have it up towards the top.
Or you could be a troll and mark it as not relevant.
Correct. You can just say none of these are relevant. So
Why's Brad Pitt like at the bottom? He's in the movie.
So our plot keyword beer name rename game is we have a beer. We'll do the Happy Clouds because everyone loves Bob Ross. So we take the beer we liked and we rename it based on, you can use a single word, combination of words, you can reorder the words, whatever you feel like works for this beer. So
You know what I feel like?
what do you feel like?
I feel like calling it based on epic poem. That's one of the collection of keywords.
There you go. It's based on epic
It's
poem.
not great, but it makes me happy.
That's cool. Aaron, did you have any thoughts on this one? You want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, I will. I'll take a stab at it. I was going to go with javelin, which would be taking a stab at, but actually I saw favorite son.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's really good.
That is a nice one.
Hey, Dan, Aaron's not allowed on here anymore, okay?
I know he just broke.
I've been
he broke the
uninvited.
phone.
Been uninvited.
So I'm gonna be really silly on this one because usually I'm way off on him, and sometimes I win. But
You win a lot.
So I'm gonna use one of the very last ones on the list because I just scrolled through and I was like, oh, that's a really good one. Title spoken by character.
That's absolutely a Lewitt beer if I've ever heard one.
I was like, oh yeah, no, you just name it yourself. Name it whatever the hell you want.
That's
And
delightful.
There is, and I was mentioning stabbed because there's stabbed in the face, stabbed in the side, stabbed in the throat, stabbed in the legs,
There was
stabbed
a
in the
weird,
head, stabbed in the chest,
all of a sudden gory
stabbed in the back,
scenes
stabbed in
during
the arm.
fight scenes.
No, these are all the keywords that are
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. It matches what we saw.
correct. There's a lot of stabbing. I mean, in Brad Pitt's like death from above move where he like goes to the side and
I
then goes
love
up
it.
above and comes down right into your shoulder.
You get
which
your
is,
special meter up and you're able to do your super move. Yeah.
and that's the thing. If you know any people who have experienced fighting or have done LARPing or anything, there are certain moves you can do that you can take somebody out really fast. But if you're actually fighting as a move, if it's unprotected, and typically that's an area that's not protected, is your shoulders near your neck,
Gotta be able to lift your arm.
right in. I mean, a little stab and you're done because you sever all those things.
So many
Especially
veins and arteries.
especially
Yes.
since medicine back then was just bite down on this. We're gonna just yank it off.
Rub some
Yeah.
dirt on it.
Rub some dirt or sand.
Yeah, we got sand.
Right.
Stop crying.
So, any last words on Troy before we cut this episode off? Because we're running about 20 plus minutes now.
Oh, it's chunks we can
25.
chop. Unlike Wolfgang Petersen, we can chop some off.
Yeah, we can chop it down, but I want to say don't waste your time. I mean, it was a fun movie to watch again, and we had some interesting beers to drink with it, but wow.
Like
3
I'm glad I
hours?
saw it. Put it on the background at a party. If you run a brewery or bar, just have it playing. Maybe if you're cool with it, just let the whole thing run with all the boobs and everything.
Boobs and everything.
If you're an ancient scholar, maybe I was going to say maybe check it out, but no, if you're an ancient scholar, you'll be deeply disappointed.
You will, because
Yeah.
it's a whole lot of no accents and a whole lot of country.
But Brian Cox, man, he brought it. He always does.
Big props to Bridgetown Beer House for the beers.
Yeah.
Thank you, Von Ebert and Cloudburst for making some good beers, and for 5440 for making a beer we like but didn't go with the movie. But that's okay. It happens. And as always, the opinions expressed during the taping of this recording are those of the hosts. And, thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for Aaron for coming and hanging out and watching a movie.
Thanks for
And
having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
We'll have you back soon. We have plenty of things to watch. There's lots of fun things out there. So stay healthy, everybody.
Make sure
Thanks
you
for-
hydrate, and then Dan put like a big epic echoey thing. Or dehydrate.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll come up with something for that. As always, thank you for listening, and for the few listeners that we do have that we know, thank you for supporting us. We know that you're out there.
Thank you for fueling our bad habit.
Yes. All right. So this is Dan signing out. Have a good night, everybody.
Blake says bye.
Aaron says thanks for listening.